Well, let's go ahead and kick this off. Sarah, hello, AdvoCap, welcome. So excited you're joining us. Wisconsin in the house. All right. Okay, so for today, during our time together, we have four key topics that we are going to discuss. First, we're going to welcome everybody and talk a little bit about why we're here and introduce ourselves. Next, we're going to just give some high-level information around research and vehicle access barriers. In the industry, we talk a lot about access to third party like transit, Uber, so on and so forth. And we don't talk a lot, and there's not a ton of research around specifically vehicle access barriers. And so we wanted to lift up as we highlight and are so excited to talk about this new tool from Capital One. We wanted to kind of set the table and really pinpoint like why this matters so much and how important it is to talk about this as an industry. Next, Andrella, who you will meet here in a second, is going to give us the high-level overview and insight on the Capital One digital car buying roadmap. This is an incredible tool. We are so excited to roll this out. And after this webinar, you're going to have 100 ideas of like, I need to share this with these people. I need to make sure my kids are taking this. I need to make sure my sisters take, all of the things. So excited to share more about this incredible tool. And then Q&A. So if you have any questions during the webinar, drop them in the chat. We'll bring them up on screen here at the end. But just so excited that you're joining us here today. This is going to be an hour worth your time, and it's highly interactive. So good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't already, introduce yourself, put your name, organization, city, state in the chat wherever you're streaming. If you are joining from Facebook, LinkedIn, X, or YouTube, sometimes it takes like a minute between you typing it and it showing up in the chat. So don't feel like if you typed it and press enter and you don't see it immediately, that you were like not recognized. So it's just there's a delay. So don't feel like you've got to put it in multiple times if you press enter and don't see. So please welcome, introduce yourself. Laura, hello, welcome from Dallas, Texas. Absolutely. We are so excited to have you joining us from the Genesis Women's Shelter and Support. So excited. Thank you so much. All right, well, we are going to keep this going. Welcome. So thank you so much, everybody. My name is Valerie Loeffler. I'm the Executive Director and founder of the nonprofit Phoenix Mobility Rising and the Catch a Ride Network. And it is my dear pleasure and honor to introduce Andrella Thomas with Social Innovation at Capital One. Andrella, I'll turn it over to you.
Hello, everyone. I am Andrella Thomas. I'm a senior project manager for social innovations here at Capital One. I will be celebrating my 30th year at Capital One. So I'm really excited to be able to see the innovation that is coming from our organization through this amazing resource for you and your clients. And so we'll talk more in just a few minutes.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. So digging in, why this conversation matters. So if you are joining us and again, looking where everybody is coming from, Innovista Health, Ford Philanthropy, United Way of Southeastern Michigan, CAP Services, Central Wisconsin, y'all know transportation is often the link between people and opportunity. And we know that whether it's employment, a doctor's appointment, a class, or childcare openings, it only matters if folks can get there. And we know that transportation is essential in household stability, employment, retention, health, education, and long-term financial resilience. And today, we're really digging into some of the detailed research that's come around about this work and to highlight this incredible resource about car buying. Okay, and just to kind of level set, if you are not familiar with the Catch a Ride Network, our vision is to create mobility solutions for the health and well-being of every person in every community. And that includes vehicle ownership and vehicle access. We are so passionate about public transit, about non-emergency medical transportation, about small businesses, about all the different types of modes, micro mobility that is available. And that includes owning your personal vehicle. And so we're so excited to highlight and share this resource today. So digging into the research in a little bit, We know how critical that transportation is, but almost 40% of US households do not live in a community where there is access to public transportation, especially in rural areas. And we know that transportation barriers aren't just logistical, they are financial, they are health related, and they are workforce related. And there's very few departments of economic development or chambers of commerce or any type of work placement that is not deeply aware how transportation access is vital to mobility strategy or to economic mobility. So one of the most recent research articles that have came out about this transportation insecurity as a whole is based out of the University of Michigan, and 1 in 4, 19% of adults over the age of 25 in the United States experience transportation insecurity. So that is a staggering figure. Transportation insecurity in their research was more common than unmet medical needs, unmet housing needs, hardship in paying your bills, or your utilities getting cut off. And then they also found that research around transportation insecurity manifests in communities, in households, very similar to these other major material hardships, especially food insecurity. So the two go hand in hand. If you do not have access to transportation, getting to these resources is equally as a barrier and to moving upward and to moving forward. And so we know that this, rarely happens in silos. All the elements of whole person health are directly impacted by transportation access. So for example, in their research at University of Michigan, they also found that roughly 45% of individuals who had transportation insecurity also experienced food insecurity. This directly lines up with research that Feeding America has done, that if you struggle with access to food or being able to afford food, you also struggle with access to being able to afford a car or having access to transportation. 36%, roughly 1 in 3, reported that transportation access also related to unmet medical needs, right? I can't get to that prenatal care. I cannot get to that follow-up appointment. I cannot get to urgent care. On top of that, about 1 in 4 folks who have transportation insecurity also face housing insecurity. Where and how do I access safe housing, and how that relates to transportation is intertwined. And we know that this impacts. It is not a factor. In our opinion, it is the factor, because it impacts how far you can access jobs. It impacts the types of jobs that are available to you, the type of education that is available to you, what type of housing you can access. So it is all inexplicably related. One of the things that we also know is transportation access impacts mental health. This is something that is not talked about enough, but is so important. And I know folks here on the call, without a doubt, also see this barrier and this challenge as it relates to the clients that you're serving. And so transportation security in research, it was also done. If you do not have access to a car, you in many cases do not feel like you have independence, and it can impact your self-worth. So for example, research showed that the folks who had transportation insecurity had a higher likelihood of depression, a higher likelihood of negative self-thought, self-belief. And when we know that this impacts getting to, mental health appointments, group therapy, informal, just being able to get out and talk to somebody, even if it's your neighbor or your sister or a family member, about your mental health. And we also know it impacts stress. We have a body of work that we do in perinatal and infant health, and mothers who face transportation insecurity see significantly higher rates of depression, and access to those resources is inhibited without access to a car or access to transportation. So when we talk about vehicle access, your first thought isn't necessarily mental health, but the two go hand in hand significantly. And then when we talk about the family, so it's one thing to say, okay, this one person who doesn't have access to a car, but what are those cascading effects? What are those downstream impacts of not having access to transportation for the family? And there's a lot of research, or more research, I should say, that has been done in this area around what are the effects of the children in the home that does not have access to transportation or to car access. And when it comes to this research, the Journal of Planning and Education really highlighted that young adults who were carless at least once during childhood were almost 14% more like or less likely to work by the age of 25. They were also earning $4,000 less in comparison. So that goes back to access to education, access to internships, access to those group projects or those informal experiences that if you have access to a car in your home, you're not saying, well, mom needs a car today, or dad needs a car today, or grandma has a car, you can't go, right? That limits those opportunities. In addition, young adults who were carless most of the time during childhood had an even higher less likelihood of working, almost 15% more likely, 15% less likely to work by the age of 25 and earning $5,000 less annually. So not having access to a vehicle in the home definitely has long-term downstream impact, not only to the person or the parent, but also the children, and what that long-term opportunity can be that shapes the future trajectory. I think one of the most large studies that was done was by Harvard, where they looked at over 40 million children and their parents on a national scale. And they said, what are the impacts to children who grow up in homes of poverty to then are not in households that are in poverty as adults? And the number one factor that they indicated was commute time. How quickly are mom and dad or grandma and grandpa or family home at the time of getting home from school or time with the family. And so we know that using public transit in many cases can take a 20-minute trip and turn it into an hour and a half. Or if you have to wait around for somebody else to get off their shift or for somebody else to run errands or all of the things. So reducing that commute time, increasing the amount of time that the family can be together, whether that be helping with homework or just those conversations that happen when your kids get home from school, is essential. Is such an incredible, important part of supporting the family. What they found was just one single standard deviation was associated with a 7% increase in adult income when it came to parent commute times. So again, just re-emphasizing that transportation access isn't just about a trip for today, it's about the long-term economic opportunity of that family's household. Okay, so now let's talk about in particular the vehicle access challenges. We know research shows that, we've talked about it, transportation access expands different types of jobs that are available, whether you're able to get to jobs that have better benefits or health insurance. Caregiving. So many folks are also caring for family members or friends, and just getting a ride to your job or just getting a ride to a doctor's appointment isn't enough, right? We are complex folks. We have lots of things going on. Accessing healthcare, whether that be a formal doctor's appointment or whether that be a mom support group. Accessing education. Where are the courses that can help me in my job or help me get to different jobs? And we know that so many households face these barriers because of the cost and the cost of insurance, credit option or credit barriers. When you're buying a used car, how expensive it is to repair the car, and also just trusted guidance. Who can help me navigate this effectively so that I'm not going into this situation unaware of what my options are or what is even being told to me. We also know that women, first-time buyers, lower-income households, folks with limited financial experience are very vulnerable many times in dealership situations or finance settings. And what we want to do is not just help people get a car, but help them make informed decisions to protect their long-term financial stability. This played out just in our own household. We have a dear friend, and he's a 17-year-old kid, and he went to the dealership. His first car broke down within 6 months. They said, oh, well, hey, you can now buy a new car and we'll roll that old loan into the new one. So this kid who just graduated high school is walking away with a $1,200 monthly car payment. He is just turned 18, and he is going to have a $1,200 monthly car payment for 3 years. And so when you think about the impact of what that long-term effect is going to be for him, for his family, just trying to regain and get out from underneath that experience is going to be difficult. So we know this impacts so many households. We also know, especially for women, there is this dynamic called the pink tax, and there's a lot of different research that's been done. There's articles on this around women and our experience. In one research article I've read, that women pay 9% more for your average cost of a vehicle or average car repair. So thinking about, what am I being sold? Do I feel comfortable negotiating? Do I know what I'm approved for? Do I know what my trade-in is worth? And so these are things where women are going into these situations feeling less confident or less protected in the car buying, car repair, car financing conversation. I know we have folks here from a women's shelter, right? I'm sure you see this all the time and saying, how do we help somebody get back on their feet? And many of them have had really rough experiences going to a dealership, going to buy their car, and they're giving 30% interest rates and just insanity. And so we see this not only in car buying, but also repairs, and just not really sure where do I stand in this conversation when I'm going to buy a new vehicle or buy a vehicle. And so the information gaps increase the risk of overpaying or vehicle integrity. So am I buying a lemon? I don't know. Like, I literally just was watching a court case the other day, and a woman purchased a car, and then she bought it and it had mechanical issues. And the judge was telling her, you should have had it checked out by a mechanic before you bought it, not after you bought it. And so just all of these things play out, and we've seen them. And so that is why we are so honored and so excited for Capital One to have this resource, so we can have, families and individuals going into the car buying process knowing exactly what to ask for, what they're financed for, what their options are before signing, and making sure they feel confident in that process. And so we know that, as research shows, and just all of us who are on this webinar today, we know vehicle ownership creates opportunity, but especially when you understand what you're walking into and how you can sustain those payments and pay for the insurance and plan for repairs, and understanding what those expenses are. So with that, I'm so excited. I'm going to turn it over to Andrella to talk about their amazing car buying roadmap. Thank you so much, Andrella.
You are very welcome. I'm excited. I love the data that you shared, Valerie, specifically around the connection between economic mobility and transportation mobility. When you think about the need for transportation, I think it's important to understand that access isn't just about purchasing a car. It's about having the knowledge, the access to the information, to prepare yourself to buy wisely. So hello, everyone. Again, I'm Andrella Thomas with Capital One. I've worked at Capital One for 30 years, and the majority of that time has been supporting, working in different areas and roles within our auto finance division. And so some of the questions that have come up for me when I've dealt with customers in the past were really around the nervousness and the lack of information around like the process. Once I'm at the dealership, or even before I head to the dealership, what are some things I really need to prepare myself to know? And the tool that we've created for you will actually give you the information that you need and create a checklist for you to be completely prepared for this process. So for the people we serve, a reliable vehicle is often the primary engine of wage growth, yet the car buying process can become a significant debt trap without the right tool. So this is why we brought this tool, or will be bringing this tool over to you today. Today, we're introducing the guide to the Capital One car buying roadmap, which is a resource designed to empower your clients with transportation literacy while protecting their financial futures. If you are a client or a consumer on the call that's joining us today, consider this question before we proceed. What is the one thing you wish you knew about car financing before you started shopping? So feel free to throw those questions in the chat, and we'll continue to address those questions at the end of our session today. So there's three things I want us to really think about when you're leveraging this amazing toolkit. The toolkit is designed to do three things. Our session is centers around our primary goals, which is system mastery. So ensuring that the navigation of this platform tool is not only easy for you, but when you're introducing this to your clients, that it's easy for them. And then it's easy for you to embed these resources in places where you feel are necessary for your clients. Risk mitigation is going to be key here, and making sure that we're going to equip you with these high power tools or high impact tools that'll help your clients secure the most favorable terms and manage your debt sustainably. So we want to make sure that your clients are prepared for any things that may come up unexpectedly. Future proofing is huge. I heard Valerie share a story about a $1,200 car payment. So how do we protect ourselves from those things happening to us in the future? So we're going to create some strategic rationale behind financing so your clients, and if you are on the call as a potential consumer, can secure favorable terms regardless of your credit history. So thinking about that and being more confident in the process is the thing that we want to create with this platform. Now, if you're a partner on the call, so there's several partners on the call that I'm familiar with that do amazing work with clients, I want you to think about why we've created this solution. First of all, I want to announce that this is a free, scalable education. So there's no cost to any person on this phone to use this resource. We built it to be free on purpose because we want our consumers to be empowered. We want your clients to be empowered. It's a self-paced portal developed in partnership with our EverFi training team, and it's designed as a digital advisor toolkit. So many of you serve as advisors to your clients on issues around finances. This is your toolkit that you can leverage. This is a supplemental toolkit. It provides that interactive financial education without any pressure before you even walk into any car buying situation. It also breaks down monumental financial decisions into bite-sized, digestible chapters using simulations. So we have payment calculators included. We have micro learnings, and it makes these complex conversations and questions that come up at the dealerships even easy for clients to grasp on their own time. So it's not just for you to use during your one-on-one conversations. It is also a resource for your clients to leverage at any point and at any time. It's a great tool for families to use together as well. A key learning point for consumers is that the bite-sized chapters allow them to understand those crucial concepts, those questions around annual percentage rate and simple interest, like how credit scores affect loan terms, and at their own pace before they even begin shopping, you'll have a clear understanding of all of those things. All right, so looking now into what our three pillars of household stability is. I love that Valerie shares so many data and stats around like car ownership aligns with stability, aligns with economic stability and understanding that. So we thought about three pillars as we were building this training. So preparation was the first thing we thought about to shift the mindset from just focusing on when you walk into a dealership. The first thing I said when buying a car was, I want my monthly payments to be this. So going beyond that, so shifting from focusing on that to ready to buy status to prevent severe budget strain. So if we're focusing on one thing and not really understanding holistically the process in which we need to go through to understand car buying clearly, then we may set ourselves up for a situation that may not work best for our budgetary needs. Financing equity is huge. We demystify APR and loan terms. We help your clients secure favorable terms that align with their financial goals. So these toolkits that you'll see within this, calculators that you'll see, and toolkits that you'll see within the platform will help you get some clarity around that. And then strategic ownership, planning to use these tools to help your clients, planning to use these tools on your own to manage your total cost of ownership, including gas and maintenance, things we don't often think about. This is what this toolkit will help you really think about incorporating as you're starting to build your budget around car buying. This helps mitigate the risk of those financial hardships, situations that Valerie mentioned earlier on the call. So looking at impact of transportation literacy, we have been throwing numbers at you all morning, and I'm going to throw another one at you today. So preparation, it leads to measurable results. Industry data confirms that buyers who utilize digital pre-qualification tools, educational tools, they report nearly triple the confidence. And confidence is key when understanding the process of buying a car during their transaction. So for clients, this translates to better vehicle reliability, improved job retention, and a genuine financial peace of mind. I was also struck by some thoughts that came up as I was doing more research around the generational impact that this also has. The knowledge that you carry and that your clients carry and learn and build from using tools like this roadmap is something that can be transferred down towards generations. We want to stop the generational thing that happens with bad credit decisions, bad financing decisions being the thing that kids watch and monitor and mirror. And so this product will help you eliminate that from happening. So here's kind of a resource table that I want you to think about as you start working with your clients, as you start sharing this resource with clients. I didn't want to just give you a resource and not give you ideas on how to implement this tool. I think this is key before we even get into the demo because it'll give you some thought starters. Now, as you gain access to this tool, everyone will have access to this free tool. You can build your own set of kind of transaction points and touch points with your clients and customers. And if you are a consumer on the call or a future car buyer on the call, you can build your own plan of action before you go into buying a car. So the first thing we thought about including, and we do include, is a payment calculator to use in one-on-one conversations between your clients and yourself. This helps address a couple of things, which is around monthly payment. It's not always the cheapest deal overall. It helps you to help the customer understand that negotiating that one thing may not be the thing that helps them in the long term. So how do we think about that? Think about the car buying process and the car loan as a whole. The soft pull guide, helping customers understand the difference between hard and credit pulls, helping your customers see real rates without damaging their credit score, and then knowing the best available rate before you negotiate. We're setting you up to look at what resources are out there to build the best negotiation tools for you. And then we've incorporated our Auto Navigator tool. Many people look at our Auto Navigator tool as a tool just for car buying, but it is an educational tool that we have leveraged with thousands of high school students and college students and adults that are transitioning into preparing to buy a car. There are so many educational resources within that. And it also serves as a toolkit to help you prepare before you even go to a dealer, because you can actually see cars that you may be interested in. And then the impact of credit scores, the impact of down payment, how that fits within your budget. All right, so I am excited to start this live demo. So before I get into that page, I want you guys to take a look at the home page and why we have these three components. We've broken this into a roadmap that is specifically focused on the needs of customers that we have heard ourselves as an organization. And so the whole premise of this platform is built around how do you start? How do you start? What's the foundation of buying a car? How do you stay prepared and understanding your budgets to help build your credit? And then what is that thing you have to do if you're ever navigating some hardships? The hardship conversation came up because a lot of people have experienced situations where they've actually had a repossession or something negative happen with them in their car buying experience. And we want to address those things ahead of the game so that customers are prepared to help solve those issues. And if you've gone through those situations, how do you bounce back? So we have a whole repository of tools there. So I'm going to share my screen and get into the website so that you can see exactly some of the tools that we have on the website. All right. So once you go in, we'll put the link in the chat for everyone to see. I saw a question in the chat. I will take a look at that and get back to you around expenses, medical expenses. We don't do commercial lending or leasing at this time, so we don't have any information on that. But we do have some articles that are focused on leasing versus buying, but no commercial things. We are just doing cars for customers that are just using cars for personal use only. All right. So taking a look at the website, this is the first page that you saw on the slide that I shared with you. These are the three sections within the training that are available to you to take a look at. I'll click on Explore. So there are two key things I want you to think about. If you're sharing this program or platform with folks that are below the age of 18, they can just begin the learning journey. So they don't have to sign up or log in. We prefer that students that are under the age of 18 not sign up and just go in and use this as a learning platform. So it is available. My computer is wanting to go slow today, but that's okay. Once we're in, we are in. Yay. Okay, here we go. I wanted to start with this section because this is kind of where we start with the foundation, and I wanted to show you a couple of things that are specific to the car loan process. And so again, I mentioned once you log in or start clicking on one of the courses, there's an option at the top to log in, register, or create your account. So you can do that. If not, you can just begin your learning journey here. Notice the timing of each of those learning modules. I don't see anything longer than 10 minutes right now, which is wonderful. We are busy. Families are very busy. And so the time that it takes for you to view that, you have the time to be able to take a moment to soak in some learning around the car buying process. The savings goals tool is amazing because it sets you up for success as you think about your budget and where do you start. How do you think about saving up for this car? A lot of people don't think about the saving up for a down payment, or I get a lot of questions of folks that have saved up for the down payment and want to know kind of what's the impact of that to their car loan. I will show you that once we get into the Auto Navigator section of this. Okay, we're going slow again, but that's okay. So car loans, if you think about saving, you think about budget, there's a lot of calculators within this platform that will help guide you as you're preparing for your shopping process, your car buying process. All right. I'm going to go back home and then we'll go from there. All right. So we'll go back home. As mentioned, there are supplemental learning resources that we have available to you. Capital One also has an auto learning center. This is full of articles and I think a few videos to help you through your car buying journey. So whatever questions aren't answered in this platform, they are definitely answered through the Auto Learning Buying Center. We refresh those articles quite often, and so you're able to get the most up-to-date resources around the car buying process based on like customer trends and what we're seeing out there in the market. And so what I'll do is I'll show you really quickly kind of other things that are centered around the car loan section. So our car loan sections, within each of those, as I mentioned, they're less than 10 minutes long, and each module has their own library of learnings that are available to anyone that is going in. So as you look at this platform and begin to play around with this platform, you can create a specific customized learning plan for your clients. If they're saying to you that the level of knowledge I have around car buying is high, then you can set some high points of things that they really want to go deeper in. If they want to learn more about APR and the impacts of that, if they want to refresh and do a budget calculator, they can do that. I think it's going slow because of our system connection to the webinar, but it is okay. It goes really fast once you're in the link. Feel free to click the link and click through the things that I'm talking about. If you go to car loans and scroll all the way down, you'll see an Auto Navigator option to where you're able to actually view Auto Navigator and its tools that are available here. I think what I can do in the meantime is just show you what it looks like. Well, we'll go back. All right. And if not, we'll just switch back to our guide. So if you have any questions, feel free to throw those questions in the chat. And if you are clicking through this guide with us, let me know that you're clicking through the guide with us. If you have ideas on how you want to integrate this also, please let us know. I think it'll be awesome to see your ideas in the chat with other partners on the call. I think it's great to hear kind of from you where you plan to share those. All right, awesome. So here's the car loan section that I mentioned. This has everything that you need to know about purchasing a car, ways to buy a car, how can financing help me, how does interest rate affect my terms, and all other issues and questions. These are commonly asked questions that we hear from our consumers that are looking to buy cars or finance with us, are questions of people that already have auto loans with us. So we wanted to incorporate content that aligns to common consumer questions. And these are probably questions that you have also heard from your clients as you're walking them through any financial literacy resources. Our Auto Navigator product is also included in here. And this is just to give you more information on like, how do you set up a real deal? Like, how do you look at an actual car that you're interested in? and try to find the best deal. And just as an example, just looking at a car, you're able to look at a car that you're interested in and edit terms based on your current financial situation. So based on your credit score, what your month, it'll tell you what your monthly payment is. If your down payment is higher or lower, this thing also adjusts based on what that is. So it's a very interactive calculator that shares with you details on financing. And it also gives you the total price, finance, vehicle price. This is for educational purposes only. So these are estimates. You won't get an actual number until you actually are pre-qualified, but we just want you to focus on leveraging this as a learning tool because it is very helpful. You can also include tax, title, and licensing, so you can see kind of the impact of that. And if you have a trade-in, you can add trade-in values here. Valerie, I know mentioned something about negative equity showing up. So you can actually put in a car if it has negative equity and show how that thing impacts your payments and your loan terms. Based on the loan terms you select, it gives you that information. So I love that it gives you a total breakdown also of everything that you're seeing, including fees that may come up for you based on where you are. So that is our Auto Navigator tool. We did integrate this as a supplemental learning for you so that you have access to more tools. It's not just about, leveraging what's in the platform. We want you to leverage what's in the platform because our training team took a very long time to build such an amazing product for all of your clients. And we want to make sure that you use these things or have everything at your fingertips for free. That's the favorite part of it, that it's all free to you. All right. So going back to kind of what we discussed earlier, I'm going to stop sharing here. I want to continue to close out and share with you additional ways to deliver these resources to your clients. So delivering best practices, I think, is the thing that I really want you to focus on, is that integration and then action path. We don't want to show you a product and then not give you information on how to integrate that product. So the first thing I would love for you to do is to have your team familiarize themselves with the module. So if you have a team that is focused on financial well-being within your organization, have them leverage this and really practice being in this tool, using this tool, so that when they come to the table with their clients, they're able to provide them with directions on where to go in the learning path. Embed this in some of your referral links and resource portals and email signatures. So if you have a place where you're sending out emails and communications to your clients around financial literacy resources, have this included as a resource that is free to your clients. And deploy these modules as homework for your clients. If your clients are on a track to help build their credit and establish a solid budget and build a foundation for buying a car, this could be a great tool to embed within that process of learning. And so creating a learning track that is inclusive of this platform would be awesome. I want to pause for any questions if you have any questions. All right. The big thing for us is by equipping our community members with transportation literacy, it provides you with the essential keys to geographic mobility. It provides everyone with that sustainable employment and the foundation for generational wealth. That is huge. I would now like to open the floor to discuss how you intend to leverage this. So if you have any ideas that are popping up in your head already about what you want to do, what are your next steps, please share that with us in the chat. I think this is a forum for us to share with each other some ideas we may have. And thank you for your continued commitment to fostering success in our communities and our families. So for our consumers and client learners on the call, I want you to take one final note with you. By equipping your community members with transportation literacy, you provide essential keys to geographic mobility. I want you to think about all of the commitments that you've made as we think about building foundational and generational wealth across our families and communities that need them the most. So we'll pause for questions. And if anyone wants me to bring up, someone said that the Auto Learning Center seems to be focused on new cars only. Do you all provide information on buying used cars? Yes. So if you go into the platform, so is the question, Taylor, specific to questions about, what specific questions do you have in regards to that, Taylor? I'd love to know more around the used car piece. There's also a search feature within Auto Learning Center too, if you want specific questions answered. I think when I think about used cars, a lot of things that show up for us is the thing around equity, negative equity, APR and payments, depreciation. That comes up a lot when you think about the selling, the buying, the trading in of used cars, and then cars that hold their value. There's few articles that are posted within the Learning Center on that, and so that could be a helpful resource for you too. It says it's about learning about your car buying journey. Yes. Oh no, I can. You can edit that and search through the search feature, so that we can take a look at that for you, Taylor. That's a great question. Okay, so what you're looking at is the feature story, Taylor. So one thing I want you to look at, the brands that you see at the top, they're kind of alphabetized. If you click on show all brands at the bottom, you'll see every car brand that's listed. So you'll be able to see a larger list. I can share my screen, Taylor, so that you can see that as well. I want you to see that there's other cars that are listed here. Do you see, Taylor? All right. Okay. So you said it would be helpful to know. Sarah asked or stated it'd be helpful to know which models have common problems in estimated car repairs. So if you go on the Auto Navigator website, if you go into a car, you can see some reviews for those cars listed. We haven't drafted anything that speaks to what car loans are, have the most common problems, and we try to separate ourselves from saying this car line or is better than this car, and so we don't want to kind of create some steering to customers to buy a certain brand of car over another. But for the Auto Navigator webpage, sorry about that, sometimes the dealer will include the Carfax report, consumer rating, you'll see that, performance, styling, reliability, you can see all of that. And all of that is provided by our partners here at KBB. You can read more as well. So if you look at that, you'll see a consumer ratings, and then you'll see expert ratings for each of the cars. Yes. You can search by make and model. Absolutely, you can. So if you are wanting to create opportunities for your clients to do deeper research, then this will help you do that. Yes, you do. Yes. So Taylor's asking if there are easy to find articles about navigating the used car market. Let's check. There may be on the Auto Learning Center. Oh, sorry. Let's go back to the Auto Learning Center. Sorry. So checking in the Auto Learning Center, there should be a search feature. Do you see the search feature, Taylor? The search feature will help you guide through that. There we go. Oh, it's all the same. So finding the right car, I will click on the finding the right car section. And you said some of the reviews are there. I'll take a look at that. If we need to add more information around used car buying, we can. There should be something here. Someone said, anyone else having trouble getting into the course after opening the individual pillar page? It seems to be loading indefinitely on my end. I think it's all a system. It just depends on your system. When I first initially logged in, it was a little bit slow, but then once I logged out and logged in again, it went pretty quickly. So if you continue to have those issues, we would love to get that feedback so we can make sure our platform team is aware. All right. Any other questions? Any other questions? All right, so I would love for you to continue to leverage this resource and provide us with any feedback you may have. There are points within the training that ask for questions and surveys around like your experience within the platform. So we'd love to capture that. There's questions that are coming up right now that I want to make sure that we incorporate. The training is not something that we want to set in stone as we get more questions from you based on your client concerns and questions. If we need to add content that is specific to that, it's easy for us to find the articles that we've created to connect that information to you and your customers through this platform. So please continue to give us your feedback so that we can make enhancements that make your experience for your clients easy and better. All right. Valerie, Melody, any thoughts, questions? Yes, we do. Someone said, do you host workshops for customers, the community for car ownership support? So the one thing that we host financial literacy sessions and workshops. We've hosted for, oh my God, more than 5,000 folks. And they are specific to really going into the car buying 101 process. This is a supplemental tool that we also leverage within those training sessions, but you can really ask the workshop leader questions that may be questions that you have heard from your clients or customers, or if you're interested in buying a car, you may have more questions. I get a ton of questions in my workshops that you can't ask through this platform. So if you would like for us to host a virtual workshop, we actually had a conversation about that, didn't we, Valerie? About hosting an actual workshop. It just gives us more time to be able to go a little bit deeper in learning for you, with the learning for you. All right.
I think also, as we were kind of chatting ahead of there's other tools. So I know we talked about the Auto Navigator, but there's also tools within Capital One and Khan Academy on
Yes.
financial literacy and building more tools in the toolbox on that side. Andrella, do you mind sharing about that program as well? Just as folks on this call are like listening for all the tools that they can possibly share with clients and community members.
I absolutely can. I'm glad you mentioned that. Let me pull that up. Khan Academy has a financial literacy page now. Now, if you say Khan Academy to students, they'll be like, oh, we use that for schools, teachers, and educators. They also leverage it. And so Khan Academy has a resource that is also available. We partner with them to develop, and they've developed some financial literacy tools specifically that covers a wide range of topics. Let me show. Are you guys still seeing my screen, Valerie?
Nope, we just see the slides.
Okay, let me share my screen.
Okay. And I think the screen that's up is the Auto Navigator, or the tab.
I will give you stop screen and let's go and present again. There it is. It's called Financial Literacy Life Skills Training. And so here is the resource that we have available. I know that there are more topics that you are speaking to your consumers about beyond car buying. So here are some great tools around budgeting and savings again, consumer credit, financial goals, loans and debt, insurance, investments, scams and fraud. Careers and education is a popular one with our schools because it talks through financial aid and how to prepare for that. Taxes and tax forms, employment, banking, car buying is also included, which I love, love, love. Housing and then teacher resources are available. So if you're looking to facilitate any workshops with your clients as a class, there are resources here that you can leverage to be able to do that. So you did practicing worksheets and things that you can download for your students to leverage. So there's about 16 modules. This is being refreshed in July. So we're going to have new content that's added. There is going to be an AI element that's incorporated that will allow more customized learning based on the learning levels of the folks that are within this Khan Academy. So I'm really excited about the refresh that's happening, and we will inform you of those products and services and resources. And this is also free for you as well.
Anybody have any other questions as we're kind of chatting? And if you've put them in the chat box and they haven't come up yet, it might be it just takes a minute or so to go through the ether. of the internet. Also wanted to share with the courses within the car buying roadmap. At the end of the course, once they've completed all the modules, they can print a certificate that shows completion. So if you wanted to ingrain this within existing financial education and have something that they're able to take self-directed, once they're done completing each of the modules, it shows them a screen and they're able to either take a screenshot or print the screen to be like, hey, I finished this part of the module or this part of the training. We're currently working on a couple different grant applications and including, the self-directed training as part of like the education, and being able to have folks do that on their own time is really important, but then still saying like, okay, were they able to complete the training without them having to like come in and do it virtually, then share that certificate virtually or that screenshot to know that part of the training was completed.
Yeah. It does a lot of the heavy lifting too. When you think about the education, Valerie, that is facilitated through a lot of our partners. Like, it takes away a lot of that heavy lifting. All you would have to do is just create a generalized learning plan for them, and then they leverage that as a means for navigating this. But I love that you reminded them around the completion certificate to serve as a proof point of them completing the training. I also recommend hosting maybe office hours, debrief workshops, and conversations with your clients. You can build that out through each section. So if you start with building your car buying foundation and you require your clients to complete that whole section, you can build some debrief questions and have open office hours and have conversations to share additional information around what they've learned. What are some high points? What are some things that they would hope to see more of? Like, this will give you an opportunity to build some conversation starters around the learning that they're receiving, but also capturing kind of the retention of the learning that is received through this platform.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we are coming up on time. One last question that came in was, are we going to be sending the recording over today? Yes, absolutely. We are going to be including a link to the recording. We're also going to be sending everybody the slides. And I think just to reiterate, this education, this tool is open to the general public. So you do not have to be a Capital One customer or a Catch-A-Ride Network member. This tool is available for everybody to use. And again, if you have feedback on new modules, new content, challenges that your customers are facing, and you're like, you know what, it would be really great if there was a module on buying your first car after bankruptcy, or buying your first car after, or getting back into it if you've had a car repossessed. Like, life happens. And we want to make sure that as you are supporting clients or personally going through that chapter of life, that you have tools and resources from trusted sources to share that information. So just really excited and appreciate everybody for joining us today. Andrella, thank you so much for being here.
I'll come back anytime.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I know you are so busy. We will be sending out the recording and the slides and everything after this. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your collaboration and partnership. I hope you have a blessed and fabulous rest of your week. And we look forward to hearing any feedback or comments that you have as you enjoy the training. And just thank you again for joining us today.